Some stories are just ancient. Like, so old they feel like they were carved right out of time itself. And these aren't just your typical tales of gods and heroes. Nope. They're more like blueprints for the entire cosmos that also happen to map out the landscape of our own minds. So today, we're going to dive deep into the mythology of Hinduism and see how it connects the vastness of the universe to the self. So yeah, we're about to jump into this incredible collection of myths and philosophical tales from Hindu traditions. And the whole time, there's one big question I want us to keep in mind. What can these thousand-year-old stories really teach us today? I mean, in our crazy, fast-paced world, what's the takeaway? So, our roadmap for this journey comes from some of the foundational texts of Hinduism. You might have heard of them: the Vedas, the Puranashads, and the Upanishads. But here's the thing. Don't think of this as one single book. It's more like a massive, sprawling library. And inside, you've got everything from these huge cosmic dramas to really quiet, intimate philosophical chats.
Okay, so before we get to all the epic tales of gods and demons, we probably need to get a handle on what these texts actually are. And they basically come in two very different but totally complementary flavors.
All right, first up, we've got the Puranas. The name itself literally means ancient, and that's exactly what they are. These epic collections of stories. I mean, they cover everything: the creation of the universe, the lives of the gods, the histories of whole dynasties. Chances are, if you've heard a famous Hindu myth, it probably came from one of the Puranas. This is where all the big, grand narratives hang out.
And then, on the other side, you have the Upanishads. The name itself is really cool. It suggests intimacy, this idea of sitting down near a teacher. So these texts aren't about sweeping epics. Not at all. They're much more about asking these really deep philosophical questions. They're basically dialogues, conversations exploring the nature of consciousness, of reality, and of the self. And just to give you a sense of scale here, get this. The Puranas alone have almost 400,000 verses. I mean, that is just a staggering amount of material. A whole library of stories, passed down for thousands and thousands of years. All right, so let's jump into those grand narratives, shall we? The Puranas really paint this picture of the universe as, well, as a stage for this incredible, magnificent cosmic drama with all these powerful forces constantly shaping and reshaping reality itself. So right at the heart of this whole drama, you've got the Hindu Trinity, also known as the Trimurti. You have Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. Or maybe it's better to say the transformer. But here's the really key idea. These aren't three competing gods fighting for control, not at all. They represent one single unified cosmic process. Think about it. For anything new to be born, something old has to be preserved, and something else has to, well, pass away. It's a cycle. There's this great story that really drives this point home. So Brahma and Vishnu are arguing about which one of them is more powerful. And then, suddenly, this infinite pillar of pure light just appears between them. They both try to find its top and bottom, but they can't. It just goes on forever. And it turns out that pillar was Shiva, representing a reality so vast that it contained both of them. It's such a powerful way to show that creation, preservation, and destruction aren't separate things. They're all part of one single continuous cosmic dance. Okay, so what happens when that cosmic order gets all thrown out of whack? When things get really bad? Well, that's where the idea of an avatar comes in. An avatar is basically when a god, usually Vishnu, the preserver, comes down to Earth in a physical form to, set things right again. Now, Vishnu is said to have 10 main avatars. And what's so cool is that each one is like a specific tool for a specific job, a solution for a specific crisis. And you can see this amazing progression. It starts with a fish that saves life from a great flood, then a tortoise that provides a stable foundation, then a man-lion designed to defeat a demon with a very specific weakness. See how it works? Each one is this precisely targeted divine intervention. And eventually they become more human-like heroes, like Rama and Krishna. And just look at how incredibly physical these interventions are. It's amazing, as the boar, Varaha, Vishnu, literally lifts the entire earth up out of the cosmic ocean. As the tortoise, Kurma, he becomes the actual foundation for a mountain. I mean, this isn't just some abstract prayer or a vague feeling. It's a really powerful vision of the divine getting its hands dirty, physically mending a broken world. Okay, but these stories aren't just about these huge cosmic battles. They also zoom right down to the human level. They offer us a kind of moral compass for how to navigate our own lives, which is where things get really interesting.
All right, let me tell you about a young prince named Dhruva. His story's incredible. He's just a kid, and he gets pushed off his father's lap by his jealous stepmother. Just imagine, he's completely heartbroken, feeling totally rejected. So his mom tells him, look, the only one who can really help you is the highest power, Lord Narayana. So what does he do? This little boy goes off into the forest all by himself and starts this intense penance, absolutely determined to find that power.
And his focus was so absolute, so complete, that Lord Vishnu actually appeared right in front of him. And Vishnu was so impressed by this kid's unwavering devotion that he granted him this incredible honor. He told him that after his life on Earth, Dhruva would become the pole star, the Dhruvatara. It's such a powerful story, right? It shows how true, unshakable devotion can literally lift a person up to a cosmic level, turning them into a fixed point of guidance for everyone else.
Okay, here's another fascinating one. It's a classic tale of brains versus heart, in a way. So you have King Ambarisha, who's this incredibly humble and dedicated devotee of Vishnu. And then you have the sage Durvasa. Now, Durvasa is immensely powerful and has all this knowledge, but he's also got a famously short temper. So he feels like the king slighted him and he's about to unleash this horrible curse. But just then, something amazing happens. Vishnu's divine weapon, the Sudarshan Chakra, just appears out of nowhere and starts chasing the sage to protect the king.
So this super powerful sage is literally running for his life across the entire cosmos. He even goes to the big gods for help, but none of them can stop the chakra. Finally, Vishnu himself tells Durvasa, look, there's only one person who can call this thing off, and that's the devotee you are about to curse. So in the end, the powerful, prideful sage has to go back and beg for forgiveness from the humble king. The lesson here is just so profound. Pure devotion can actually be more powerful than all the knowledge or pride in the world.
Okay, we've gone from the cosmos down to human morality. So, where do we go from here? Well, our final stop is the most intimate one of all, the journey inward. And for this, we're diving into the world of the Upanishads, the search for the self.
The Upanishads give us two really profound concepts to chew on. First, there's the Atman. You can think of this as your individual soul, that eternal, quiet part of you that's always there deep down beneath all the noise of your thoughts and your personality. It's your core. Then there's the Brahman. That's the universal spirit, the single unified consciousness that is the very fabric of, well, everything. So, the big question is, what's the connection between your individual soul, the Atman, and this universal spirit, Brahman? Well, there's a beautiful story from the Upanishads that explains it perfectly. It's an analogy. A teacher tells a student to put a grain of salt in a glass of water and come back tomorrow. The next day, the teacher asks, so where's the salt? And of course it's gone, it's dissolved, completely invisible. But then he says, taste the water. And the student tastes it, and the salt is everywhere. The teaching is just so elegant. Yourself, your Atman, is like that salt. It's an unseen presence, but it's part of the whole, the Brahman. You aren't separate from it, you're woven right into it. And this whole search for connection, it's captured so perfectly in a famous prayer from these texts. It's really a plea, a call for transcendence, a call to be led from the temporary to the eternal, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. That's really the core human yearning that drives this whole philosophical journey, isn't it?
Wow. So we've traveled all the way from the creation of the universe right down to the very core of the self. So what does it all mean? What's the takeaway for us right here, right now?
I mean, just think about the trip we just took. We started out at the biggest possible scale, with gods literally shaping reality. Then we zoomed all the way into the human heart, pulling out these moral lessons from stories about devotion. And we ended our journey in the most intimate place there is, that inner search for the self, only to discover that our individual soul is actually part of a much bigger, universal whole.
So if there's one big idea to walk away with, it's probably this. That line we draw between the outer cosmos and our inner world, it's kind of an illusion. So what can these ancient stories teach us today? Maybe their greatest lesson is that you don't actually need a telescope to explore the universe. You just need to look inward. And the real question isn't just what you'll discover when you do, but how that discovery is going to change everything.